Welcome to the Kingdompreneur Life Podcast with your hosts, Doreen and Pat Martin. Doreen and Pat became Kingdompreneurs after being in full-time ministry with Bishop T.D. Jakes. They've raised two out-of-the-box thinkers, Elisha and Hannah, that caught the entrepreneurial bug at the early age of 15. Pat, also known as CP, is a real estate investor, speaker, author, and coach. Doreen, or Raw Doreen as some know her, is a board-certified holistic health practitioner and business strategist. Together, they became top income earners in their network marketing company. They are passionate about giving you tools, ideas, and inspiration to take action in your business and spiritual life. Each week, they'll bring you an inspiring person or message to help you live a God-centered, holistic life that is uncluttered and rich with purpose. And now here's your hosts, Doreen and Pat.
Welcome, everyone, and thanks for joining our Kingdompreneur Life podcast. How are you doing today, baby?
Hey, guys. Well, I'm doing well.
You were going to go right into talking to them and ignore me, and I'm right here with you.
Well, we got an exciting podcast today.
We sure do. We're so blessed that you want to tune in each week to hear about our journey. We're hoping that our life will inspire you to step out and do what is on your heart to do. Maybe something that you know that God is calling you to do, but you haven't had the courage to step out and do it. We hope that our life and our experience inspires you to step out and allow God to work through you to impact others.
Guys, getting out of the rat race and becoming a minimalist and selling everything we had. It's such an abundance of freedom to de-junk, de-stress, declutter, de-whatever. We sold everything. And we're down to 2 suitcases, a backpack, and a dye bag, and living the laptop lifestyle, stress-free, and kicking butt, having fun, living. Like right now, I'm looking at people surf on the Pacific Ocean from our condo overlooking the beach. It's cool.
Let's back up a little bit and talk about how we got to this place, because it was not an instantaneous process. Okay. So let's talk about, let's dial back to a year ago, 2017.
Okay, but babe, the waves right now look really good for surfing. So,
would you like to do a podcast, or would you like to surf?
Okay, we can get through this. And so 2017.
2017, we watch a movie called The Minimalist.
Mm-hmm.
If you have not watched the movie, I encourage you to watch it. But that really shifted our thinking into possibly living a different type of life with less stuff.
Sure.
Well, it opened up our mind to the possibility of living with just our essentials.
And it started when we went to that restaurant called the Cider Press Cafe in St. Petersburg, Florida. It's this organic, it used to be all raw food, but they have cooked food there too. And it's an amazing, oh my God, the corn chowder is to die for. And so we decided we were going to go to dinner one evening, or maybe it was even a lunch. And the kid, our waiter, who has waited us on before, Zach, shares with us.
Yep, he shares with us that he is not going to be there at the restaurant
for the summer.
For the summer, he was going to a place in Ecuador called Alone, and he was going there to write some music. And we did not think anything of it. We were like, "Oh, great, have fun." We didn't really even know where Ecuador was. We didn't know anything about Alone, but he was excited, and he said it was a quiet, peaceful place.
Well, he also said his mom is living down here for on the cheap, on the beach for like $400 a month. And we're like, what? On the beach?
Yeah, so that did spark our interest, how inexpensive it was for her to live right on the beach. So we left the restaurant and, of course, went about our lives. And over the next couple of weeks, God was definitely pricking at our heart, my heart, Pat's heart, to look into this whole idea of Ecuador. So that's what we did individually. He was researching Ecuador. I was researching Ecuador. We were seeing where it was, what it was about.
Well, because normally what we like to do is get out of the summer humidity of Florida and get out to Southern California, my hometown and home area of Orange County, Huntington Beach, and Costa Mesa, and Orange. and get back to my roots. And I love it out there. I love it, love it, love it. And it's, quite a bit more expensive to live out there for the summer than it was to look at the idea of coming here to Ecuador. And we thought and said, you know what, maybe God is speaking to hearts to forego Huntington Beach, and let's take a serious look at Ecuador.
Yep. So that's what we did. We sat down and we said, okay, I think God is telling us that we need to go to Ecuador for the summer. So we decided to start making plans to go for June and July, the 2 months in the summer. And we also felt that God was saying that for some reason we needed to go down there and we were going to work with children. And we had no idea what that meant, but we just felt that impression on our heart to go to Ecuador. It wasn't like we had an audible voice or anything. It was this heavy pull. Go to Ecuador for the summer, and then
we're going to help with children.
Whisper of you're going to help with children. So it was a total walk of faith to purchase the plane tickets. I went on VRBO and I scheduled a condo for 2 months that was on the beach. Didn't have any idea, what location the condo was in because we had never been here. So I scheduled the condo. We bought the tickets, the airplane tickets, and we were set to go. We told our kids, hey, we're going to go to Ecuador this summer.
Do you want to go?
Do you want to go? They were like, okay. They were in. So Hannah and Eli were both like, yeah, we're going to go. It'd be great.
And two, we put our faith out there, and we knew how much money we needed to have. And so we said, okay, Lord, if this is where you want us to go, then where you guide, you'll provide, make it happen. And we needed to have the money cash in hand by May 1st because we were leaving basically June 1st. And we needed to have enough time to book the tickets and so forth. And we looked everything up, and everything was a green light. And I had tenants leave in April. One of my properties, and I advertised, and I got new tenants that moved in at the end of April, right before May 1st, and they said, can we pay a year in advance? And I said, oh, no. How about 3 months? And it came out to the exact figure that we had within $100 that we had put out to the Lord that we needed for our budget to fly down and stay at this condo.
I know that was a first sign of wow, we are stepping out here by faith and God is meeting us, where our faith is. So it was really exciting. I think at that point when the money came in, we were like, God's really wanting us to go. We're on the right track. Let's just go.
Why don't you share about the day we get to the airport?
Yeah, so we get to the airport, and we've got 2 dogs that we're bringing with us for the summer down here to Ecuador.
Our little Shih Tzus.
And we get there, and we're checking everything in, and our paperwork for the dogs was not filled out with the correct color ink. So Pat has to make a decision on the fly because we have 30 minutes, 45 minutes to get upstairs to get, to start boarding. He says, I'm going to stay back with the dogs. I'll get the correct paperwork. You go ahead with the kids. Basically, that's how it was. Yep.
I'm sending my family. Everything that is of value to me in my life is getting on a plane, going to a foreign country that I've never been, don't know anything about it. And we've got somebody from the hotel that supposedly in a taxi is going to have their name on a sign that says, hey, get in my taxi cab.
Yeah. So Pat stays back. I go on with the kids. We get on the plane. I have to calm Hannah down because, of course, Hannah's like, this is a sign that we're not supposed to go. And I said, no, this is not a sign that we're not supposed to go. This is just opposition, and we will occasionally get opposition. Let's just keep moving forward. And so we landed in Ecuador. We got to the hotel. The kids and we were fine. Meanwhile, Pat's back at home, taking the next couple of days to get the paperwork figured out.
But there was a miracle there, too. With Maggie.
Go ahead. Yep. Go ahead.
The miracle with Maggie. She's our older Shih Tzu, and she's 12 years old and blind and all that. And we can't. She had an allergic reaction to getting a rabies shot. Well, you can't take a dog into another country without rabies shots. Well, the miracle is that we had to get the USDA veterinarian to sign off and stamp, give the dog stamps to come down to Ecuador. And I went to the office and I got Stassi, our little 6-pound Shih Tzu. She's brand new, just over a year old. Got her situated, and I'm trying to figure out not daycare, but boarding for Maggie, our older one,
because she wasn't going to be able to come. But don't forget to say how we try to take matters in our own hands.
Yes, we did. I tried to take matters. I called up a veterinarian friend of mine. I wanted him to, pull a favor, and he said, "Oh, I can't. That's just, I don't want to." I was asking him to do too much, way outside of his box. And so I'm driving down the road from Gainesville, headed back home, 2-hour drive back from the USDA office. And the vet there gave me his card and gave me a cell phone. He said, "Look, if you run into any situations, call me." I'm driving down the road and I get this epiphany. I'll give him a call. I called him up, told him my situation. He says, "Turn around, come back, and get your other paperwork." He goes, "I'll sign off on Maggie." And we got the paperwork, and I flew out the...
So he was signing off on our older dog going without having a rabies, which was not allowed. Basically, he signed off, and said she was okay to come, even though she hadn't had a rabies in years. So that definitely was another sign from the Lord that he was taking care of us, that he was making a way, that we didn't have to make a way. We needed to just trust the process and, do it the right way and allow God to give us favor and work things out.
Kind of like Joseph when he was in prison in the Bible, and he tried to work his jelly with the butler and the baker, specifically the butler, and said, "Hey, man, remember me to Pharaoh when you get out of prison, put a good word in for me. I've been framed. I'm innocent." And of course, the butler, the cupbearer, he forgot, and he made Joseph wait 2 full years, and then God made it come to pass. And fortunately, I didn't have to wait 2 years; I only had to wait 2 days, and God made it happen.
So funny. So anyway, so we get down to Ecuador, the kids and I, and we get settled in our condo, and now we're waiting for Pat to come. He comes about, 4 or 5 days later?
3 days later.
3 days later, Pat arrives. We get him here. And we're settling in, and
people are asking us why you're here. Why are you here? Why are you here for so long? For 60 days, 62 days, or whatever? And we said, well, we really feel like God spoke to our hearts to help with children. And they said, "Oh, you mean up at the orphanage?" And by the way, we had called up a few organizations trying to figure out how we could volunteer, do whatever, and nobody wanted to, they wanted to put us through their own training programs for like 6 months or a year. Well,
programs in the States. We were calling up different programs in the States that operate down here to see if we could just, lock arms with them.
Help out with something.
We had no idea,
no clue,
where we were going to try to find these children that we could help.
And somebody takes me outside on the beach in front of our condo, in less than a half a mile away, and they point up to the cliff where you can see the buildings. I mean, it's really close. And they go, "That's the orphanage." I'm like, oh, my God.
God is so amazing and so perfect. He allowed me to book a condo that was just,
we can see it.
We can see the orphanage from our condo. And we had no idea. So it was just so amazing. So amazing. So we decide to take a trip up to the orphanage. Yeah,
like a whole, it's like a 30-second taxi ride. Mm-hmm. Oh, maybe 60 seconds.
Right. Go ahead and you do. The first day we got there at the orphanage, and you met somebody that spoke English. Right?
We got there, and we got out of the taxi. We're looking around. We don't know what we're looking for, and because there's a school there and a church. There's a beautiful Catholic church there. And we see these, it looks like teachers, and they all have their teacher outfits on. And I walk over there, and I say, "Se habla English, por favor?" And this one guy says, "Yes, I speak English. I am the English instructor for the school. I'm the director." I'm like, "Great." And I said, "Who do we speak to to volunteer?" And he goes, "Me. I got to get out of town." And he goes, "Can you help teach English?" Shoot. I said, "Yeah, sign me up." And then I said, "Look, my wife would like to help out at the orphanage. Who do we need to speak to?" He goes, "Oh, not a problem. She's right inside." So he walks us inside. That was Anibal. And Annie Ball helps us out in situations. I'm teaching now English at the school, and Doreen is helping out at the orphanage. I still help out at the orphanage as well, but she's over there all the time. And my help is playing soccer and kicking the ball around, football, real football, and then taking the kids out into the beach and getting in the water and boogie boarding and surfing and whatever else.
So we ended up just really spending time, with the kids at the orphanage and preparing nutritional drinks and doing pizza parties and just really just serving and loving on these kids.
Being the fun parents.
These kids just, they just want love. So they all come with their own story of how they got there, and it just totally tugs on your heart.
Sure.
And when our time was up, our 61 days, we had a really hard time leaving. Like, I felt like we were leaving a piece of our heart here in Ecuador. And
we didn't tell the kids we were leaving. We came up there one evening, and they knew.
They did. The kids just knew. They had sense that we were leaving, and that was going to be their last time that they would see us.
They were crying and holding on to our legs and arms,
and wanting to come with us. And it was,
please don't leave us.
It was something. It was so emotional. But we go back home to the States, and we start to pray. Okay, why is our heart still connected in Ecuador? Why do we still feel this pull there? And we ended up, praying and saying, okay, you know what? I think we're called to come to Ecuador. Let's see what it takes to get a visa, what we have to do, and, the legwork of what it's going to take. And so we decided we were going to do a 2-year visa, and we were going to do VRBO for our home in the States. And I remember I went for a walk because I would go for my morning walks. And I remember the Lord telling me on my morning walk that He didn't want me to do a vacation rental or an Airbnb with our home.
With all of our furniture.
Yeah, He says, I heard Him say, you need to get rid of it all and not have any ties pulling you back or any worries or concerns about your stuff here. In the States, when you go to Ecuador, you need to just leave and go to Ecuador and leave all that stuff, get rid of it. And so I remember coming home from my morning walk, and I was like, I got to tell Pat this, right? Because we were prepared to leave, come to Ecuador, and then of course just rent our stuff and leave our stuff there. And we would at the end of the 2 years of Ecuador, we would go back, and our stuff would still be there and all nice and neat. And so I remember telling him, I'm like, I think God's telling us we have to get rid of all of our stuff, everything. And I remember you going, okay, yeah. It was a hard pill to swallow, but you were like, okay, I'm open if that's what He's saying, and then that's what we'll do, But at first it's kind of like a shocker. You're like, everything, Lord? You want us to get rid of everything? Because I don't think you realize how attached to things you are until you have to give them up, right? Yeah. But
it was fun.
It was fun after we got over the initial emotional detox from it. So for me, I know the first couple of days when stuff started leaving the house, people were coming and they were buying stuff, I remember crying, and I remember feeling
saying goodbye to Pottery Barn furniture.
There was a piece in my heart that was attached. Okay, I gave value to how hard I had worked to accumulate this stuff. So it was years of hard work. I was getting rid of, and the enemy starts playing with your mind of well, what if it doesn't work out in Ecuador? What if, I've learned to ignore now that what if, when the enemy comes, well, what if this doesn't work? And the negative, what are you going to do? What are you going to come back to? You're not going to have anything. You're going to have to start all over. You don't have any, all of this what if.
And so what if we have to start all over?
Well, for a woman that is attached to her home.
No, that's what you said. You were like, what? Okay, if we have to start over, we have to. But that's not the end of life.
No, it's not. So, So it took us, let me see, September, October, November, December, 4 months of detoxing our home, of selling everything in our home. We had been in that home for 12 years.
No, longer than maybe 12. Yeah,
12 years.
13.
So we had to go through attics and closets, and this is
46 boxes of what do you call the contracts, and what do you call those kind of boxes?
Tax records and business
stuff.
records and file cabinets and.
Oh, we burned 46 boxes of stuff, that contracts and all kinds of things from our past businesses, and just stuff that we put up in the attic, and now we don't have any more.
We gave things away. We sewed into different ministries. We sold some, bigger items that were going to help to.
I gave my tools away, my pressure washer, paints, stuff I used to rehab homes, ladders.
Yeah, all of our educational books. I mean, everything we just gave it away. We were like, okay, we're not going to be attached to anything. So, December 26th. We are scheduled to come to Ecuador.
And we have all of our stuff.
Yep. Everything.
12 suitcases.
In suitcases, we've downsized. We've gotten rid of everything.
We weighed them 50 pounds. We've got everything dialed in perfectly.
Yeah. And there was a process to get rid of it all. Like you do a little bit at a time, and then you go back through, and you get rid of again. It's like you can't purge it all the first go around, because of the emotional attachment, or because you think, I'm going to need this. And then you go back through again and purging stuff, and you're like,
what if we do need it?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to need this. Let's just get rid of it. If we do need it, we'll buy it again.
Yes.
So anyway, we go to the airport. I'll let you take this. We go to the airport December 26th, the day after Christmas. We've got things in suitcases, and we're ready to come down here.
We unload, and the sky cap, man, we've got this thing dialed in, and he's going to help us out. And we get all of our suitcases, and we're lined up on the curbside, and he's all of a sudden gets a puzzled look on his face and goes, "Oh my God, hey guys, I got some bad news." I'm like, "Oh man, what happened?" And Ecuador has an embargo. Well, what does that mean? They're only allowing 2 suitcases per person. Well, no, that can't be, because we have our life's belongings now in these 12 suitcases. And when I say 12, it was just Doreen, Hannah, Piper, my daughter. We call her Piper. So Doreen, Piper, and me. And Elisha is going to stay behind. And so we got these 12 suitcases, and we're ready to roll. And they tell us, you can't take 12, you can only take 6. We've got to leave half of our stuff behind. And now I open up the suitcases, and I'm trying to remember what's going on in which suitcase, and what do we need, what do we absolutely need to take, what can we leave behind that Elisha can bring back when he comes. And it was a disaster.
It was. Hannah and I have a meltdown at this point, right? Because it's like we've downsized everything. In these suitcases are the must-haves. We cannot downsize anymore. We cannot get rid of any more, because these are must-haves.
From spices to you name it.
Well, yeah. And so Hannah and I are having a meltdown together. And then, we go to the bathroom, we get our composure, and we're just like, okay, God, give us peace. Give us peace, God. We are trusting in you that you're going to work this out. I know, looking back, it's like when I think that I have to work it out and I have to figure it out myself, and I start to get in my head, that's when the anxiety, the stress, and all that. But if I just surrender the process, okay, God, I don't understand. We only take 2 bags. I'm going to trust in you to work this out. And whatever you decide, I'm okay with it, Lord. I don't have to have my way. I just have to trust that you are in control and you are going to work it out for our good. And I
was a big help, because I was super sensitive to you and your needs.
Yeah, Mr. Insensitive was not at the airport. He's going through all the luggage, and he's like, "We don't have time for this emotional stuff."
Cry later.
Cry later.
We've got just a few minutes.
I wanted to strangle him. Okay, note to husbands: not a good thing to say when your wife is having a meltdown. That just to cry later. What you need to do, husbands, is come and hold your wife, comfort her. Help her to gain her composure. Tell her it's going to be okay. that maybe would be the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Oh, still learning after 29 years of marriage, right, babe?
Yeah,
still
yeah.
learning.
Well,
So
you want to share about the miracle there?
no, let's leave the miracles for next week.
Okay, because there was a big miracle that
No,
happened right
there's
there.
tons, because we're going to go run into like miracle after miracle after miracle.
Okay.
So we will leave it for next.
Leave it right there. The
Yeah.
luggage is on the curbside.
Exactly, and we will leave the miracles
And
for
I was being
next
super
week.
sensitive.
But let's just like recap some ahas or some takeaways that we learned
Okay.
from this episode. Like, what was something that you learned?
Well, number one is that Ecuador has an embargo every from Thanksgiving through mid-January, and they only allow 2 suitcases. That was one of my big takeaways. You're talking about a different kind of takeaway.
Yeah,
Okay.
but that's your takeaway. That's your takeaway. That's how
No,
spiritual you want to be.
No, my takeaway is that I learned that even in the middle of a crisis, I need to take a few minutes out just to make sure that my troops, that you and Hannah and Elisha, you guys are going to be okay, and that we can take a minute to connect and to be present. For me to be present with you and your emotions, so we can take a moment and then regroup together and tackle the task at hand by downsizing all of our stuff now by 50%.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's good. Very good. This is my takeaway. So through all of this, I am learning to be completely dependent on the Lord and not myself, right? Because I, for so long, have just like depended on myself, or I'll make it happen, or what are we going to do? I got to figure it out. And the space that the Lord has me in now is I don't have to figure it out. I just have to surrender the process and trust the process and know that He has got me and He has taken care of me and He's got it figured out. It's just like I just need to take peace. That the enemy comes to steal my peace.
Steal, kill, and destroy.
I have to make the decision. Am I going to let him steal my peace and get all wrapped up in my head? Or am I going to stay in my heart and stay connected to the Lord and stay in peace and just know that, Lord, you got me. Whatever the outcome is, I'm trusting you. It's going to be okay because you're my papa. You love me and you're going to take care of me. And I know you're working all things together for my good. So, baby, you going to end with a scripture for us today? You got one?
Yeah, I will. This is Ephesians 3:20. It's one of my favorites, and really it's one that just points to us to look to Him, rely on Him, and it's now to Him who is able to do exceedingly abundantly beyond all that we can ask or think. I mean, we can pause right there and preach on that one. Above all that we can ask or think, according to the power that works within us. The power that works within us. To Him be the glory in the church and in Christ Jesus to all generations forever and ever. Amen.
There is somebody that is listening to our podcast right now that is, I feel like, tinkering on the decision of like they feel God is calling them to do something, but they know in their natural mind it makes no sense to them whatsoever. And I just want to encourage you, if that is you, God is telling you to go in a direction, to take a step, to move out, you need to listen to your heart and go for it. Okay? Don't get up in your head and try to figure it out, because sometimes what God is telling you to do does not make sense at all to the natural mind.
You know, somebody told me years ago, pray and obey. Make it real simple.
Pray and obey. Amen. All right, our beautiful podcast family, we will see you next week.
On the next one. Blessings. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Kingdompreneur Life podcast. Don't forget to join us next week for another inspiring episode. We'd love for you to head over to iTunes to subscribe and leave a review. We love reading all your comments. You can also connect with us on our websites. Pat is CoachPatMartin.com, just like it sounds, CoachPatMartin.com. And Doreen is found at RawDoreen.com. That's RawDoreen.com. You can download your free gift that will help you live life uncluttered and rich with purpose.